Welcome to Conversations with Healers, a podcast and video interview series that features intimate, soulful, and cozy conversations with self-healers and healers. Healer to healer, we dive into all aspects of self-healing and healing and being and becoming a healer. I am Damla. I am a healer and the host of this podcast, and I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation. If you are new to this podcast, please take a moment to subscribe so that you can be aware of new episodes. I also invite you to visit adropofom.com, adropofom.com, where I share a lot of free resources for self-healing and healing, and you can take a free quiz to find out what your energetic wounds are and how they may show up in your life. Discovering what your wounds are is the first step in healing them. I hope you enjoy this episode. There is one more thing I would like to share with you before you listen to this episode. I created a wonderful container to help you process the collective trauma of the pandemic and begin to heal your energetic wounds. It is an energy healing membership called Chakra Bliss Vault. Every month, you will receive 3 new crystal healing sessions, plus you'll immediately have access to my entire energy healing recording library when you sign up. The membership is really affordable and will continue to be so. You can find out more about it at adropofom.com, adropofom.com. I invite you to make your healing a priority and invest in your well-being by becoming a Chakra Bliss Vault member. Hello and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Healers. And I have Tracey Miller with me here today. I'm so excited to have you, Tracey. And Tracey is a holistic health coach, yoga teacher, retreat organizer, and the founder of the Women's Wellness Exchange, which is a professional member alliance of women wellnesspreneurs with a mission to promote, connect, and support their members. So welcome, Tracey, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a wonderful birthday treat to to have this conversation with you.
Well, it's awesome to have you here. And I want to have you tell us your story, like what got you to where you are today, like in big, like brush strokes, what's been leading you to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so my journey really began in my 30s when I was working the big corporate job down in Washington, D.C., traveling all over the world. It all looked good from the outside, and on the inside, I had brain fog and IBS and PMS and fatigue and completely disconnected from my body. And they've been shooting me up with a lot of vaccines because I was going to third world countries. And, I'm just like, okay, whatever we need to do here. I had to go on antibiotics, and I knew nothing about my body. And then started having some chronic health problems. And I just kept looking for answers, like going to doctors. Tell me what I should do. Tell me what's wrong. Is there something I could do with my diet? And of course, there was no insight at that level except for just to take a pill. And so I kind of thought, well, this is just me, I don't sleep well. This is just who I am. And but it made things hard, brain fog and fatigue and just going through the day and just being really sensitive. And then I found a health coach. And this health coach was like asking me all these questions that no one had asked me before, and made me realize that, oh, I could actually learn something about my body if I just listen and if I experiment. And she introduced to me that I could feel better by just empowering myself and knowing myself and being aware and listening. And so that was really the beginning of my journey. And I'm so thankful to the health coach that helped me. She's actually one of our members, Cheryl Mirabella. And and then I decided, I had a child at like 41, and decided to jump ship from the corporate world and went to in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And then my husband and I moved from DC up to New Hampshire and started a very different life from there. And I have been working in the wellness field on my own for the most part, with a few partners along the way, for almost 15 years. And I through that I have evolved, continually evolving, still evolving, still working on things, and have just been introduced to so many different beautiful modalities of healing and thinking and being, through other women, and just really appreciate this journey, and how it just keeps helping me open up to my life, and really experience it without having to have all those like reactionary thoughts, and all the fatigue and brain fog and all those. Just knowing that I'm empowered doesn't mean I don't feel that way, but when I do, I have something to come back to. I have tools, I have practices, I have awareness that help me really come back to who I want to be and how I want to show up in this life. And I'm not saying it's always easy, it's work. It really, really is. But I love it. I love the journey. I love the epiphanies. I love the um, expansiveness that comes with all of that, because I know what the other side is, and you know that's part of the thing. That's part of life, is the ups and downs, and so now I'm able to manage those and be more resilient. And yeah, so that's really brought me to what I'm doing today, which is, before COVID, I decided that I wanted to. I really love nature. I really love hiking. I really love the mountains. I think nature is a critical nutrient, nourishment, whatever, for our lives. And so I bring women up to retreats in, primarily, and been in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. I've done some stuff in Maine, and we're doing something in Oregon. And then I started the Women's Wellness Exchange. So do you want me to talk about that now, or?
I want to just say something real quick, which
Yeah.
is I'm finding it wonderful that we have a common thread, because I used to live in Washington D.C. and I used to work in consulting as well.
Oh, you did? Did
And
not know that.
I did have a health crisis, which was like I suddenly had migraines, and then that led me into the journey of wellness and healing that I am today. That was sort of my first like guiding point. And then I'm loving that. I want to talk about supporting women and women business owners supporting women, but I feel like that's sort of where I am on my journey with this podcast in particular, because I wanted to not only connect with like-minded people like us, but also to be able to elevate them in a way, because there, like you mentioned, there are a lot of elements to wellness that like I can't offer just by myself as an energetic or vibrational healer. Like there needs to be the body elements, there's the health or the food element, and there's like a wide variety in between. So what led you to creating this container of women wellnesspreneurs?
Yeah. Well, really, for two reasons. One is, in my 30s when I was struggling, and I know things are much different now. I'm 58 today. um, but at the time, I didn't know where to turn, to find help and to get resources, and I just kept going to doctors. And um, so I wanted to provide a resource where women could come in and see all the different ways that they can, practice their self-care and get support, right? So we have relationship coaches and intimacy coaches and people that focus just on immune. So I wanted them to go in and find what they're looking for, maybe to manage their stress, maybe to help in relationships, maybe to reach goals, through a life coach, maybe to find someone that can help them really, calm their nervous system down through energy work, or um, and they might even find what they're looking for, but what they don't even know exists. I didn't know there were such things as health coaches. I just was kind of going to doctors who knew nothing about nutrition, and so I wanted to provide that resource. And I really do believe that it's women who are leading the way in wellness, and that we are the listeners, the healers, the intuitives. We're in the schools, we're the moms feeding the kids, for the most part. Of course, men do this too, but um, so, I wanted to also support the women that were doing that. One, because that's me. I jumped ship from the corporate world, and even though I was in marketing, it's very different when you try to, you jump ship, you think you're going to start this business and be a health coach, and it's going to be so easy and everyone's just going to come flocking to you, and you put up your website and you don't hear anything because, marketing yourself is very, very different than marketing a corporation. And as an entrepreneur, or we call them wellnesspreneurs, you have to put yourself out there. You have to be very clear about your value, your beliefs. You be able to communicate how you help people transform. I think it's important that we get clear on our why and all those things. So, but I had no one to turn to. Here I am, like in my office, and it was great. I was so happy. You can control your own schedule, and I've had a great career as an entrepreneur. I've done many different things. I mean, I really had a blast trying. I've done farm to table dinners. I've done farm tours. I've done, dinner seminars with really, well-known people and so forth. And then of course coached and do group coaching. But I just wanted a place where women could share stories, share expertise. We bring in, other experts to help women really just like build their business in a way that is authentic, that is organic. Because, I think with social media, we think we can like put out 100 posts and that's all we need to do. But that's not necessarily going to, help people figure out how we can help them.
Mm.
So, anyway, I think there's just a lot for all of us to learn. I think a lot of women as entrepreneurs or wellnesspreneurs struggle because they're really passionate about what they do and they believe in what they do, but they just don't know how to get it out there. And so, I've talked with women over all my, 15 years here, but even more so this last year, and just seen the roller coaster that we can go on. So I wanted to provide that support network to help women really, fulfill their purpose and their passion, but also to, make some money at it. Because I think as women, we're like, think it's bad if we make money, especially if we're in the spiritual world, right? Like, oh, I should just do this out of my passion and my purpose. But that doesn't like put food on the table. It also doesn't portray what our value is, and that the work that we're doing is transforming people one person at a time. And I truly believe, I mean, women are the majority of alternative and holistic providers, practitioners and coaches and so forth. And they're also the majority of customers. So it's women who are really driving this whole industry, which is lack of a better word, to redefine what self-care is, to redefine and help people feel more empowered about taking care of themselves and believing in themselves and knowing themselves. And that's where we need to go. This is the new paradigm, and it's happening. I mean, it's amazing. And every day I hear someone new, or and I hear things, and to me, still elevating me, like, oh yes, this is where we're going. And for me, it used to be just about nutrition. And that's how I started out. It was just trying to help people eat healthier. Well, then I realized that I could teach people or tell people like eat more greens and eat kale and all this stuff, but if I didn't know how to cook it, so then I helped women. I did cooking classes for moms, and then when I started my yoga certifications, it was very much about learning more the mind body approach. And so my learning, my self-care has evolved over these 15 years. And so I know that it's not just one thing, or even just one coach. Like, one coach is going to help us in one way, but another practice or modality, whether it's acupuncture or Reiki, is going to help us in another way. And it's just all exploration, right? And the industry of the big pharma, big food, it's like it's all these quick fixes, get the 100-calorie snack, or get the pill, and like that, then it's going to be okay. And then you'll be healed, or you'll be fixed, or you'll be okay. And really, it's a journey. It takes years and years and years of exploration, but celebrating every nook and cranny that we learn about ourselves and how we feel about ourselves and our body is so beautiful. And that's, to me, where all of the juice is. So I think through providing this resource, and then also supporting the people who are providing the resource, has really been my mission.
I love it. I love all of it. I want to dive into, before we started recording, you were telling me there's one word that has been coming up for you, which is alignment. Do you want to tell us what about alignment is like coming up and about for you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting because at my retreats over the last couple years, and people just kept saying, I want to feel more connected. I want to feel more aligned. And to be honest, I never quite knew what that meant. And obviously, that's different for everyone. And we've done a lot of work at that in my retreats, where we just do workshops and we talk about that, because I think it's important for us to know when we are aligned, or some people might say balanced, or but what I have noticed for myself over the years is, again, I've done a lot of work, and sometimes I would get frustrated, like I'm doing the meditation, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm still experiencing resistance, or contraction, or I'm just, like something's just gnawing at me. Um, and I've gotten to know myself really well over the years, but and very self-aware. But what I've learned over the last year or two, and really even in this last several months, it's been a difficult 7 months or several months. My father passed away, and then there was this cascade of things afterwards. But what I have learned about alignment is, first of all, it's alignment. It's got to start with taking care of our bodies, right? Because if we are resisting or sabotaging, like that's not alignment. Like when we are so afraid to take a look at our health and how we feel, that resistance puts us out of alignment, right? So that right there. But it's also speaking our voice. It's also, and I think about little things, like even just like when I'm in the kitchen and I don't recycle, because I don't want to go over there, whatever. And I feel funky afterwards. Like I feel a little bit, and of course we have to give ourselves grace, and life's not perfect, but alignment is holding to the values that you believe, that the environment is important, that what we do now has an impact on the people after us. Um, and that is important to me. And so when I'm just tired or lazy, that if I did that every day, I would not feel good about myself. It's one thing to do it once in a while, but and then I also think alignment is being able to get in touch enough with your feelings to know when you are being honest with yourself, when you're truthful about how you feel about something, whatever it is. And this happened to me a couple years ago too, where I was working at a small nonprofit, and it was a really difficult environment, and I kept thinking, oh, I'm just going to be the happy one and make sure everyone feels okay, and I'm just going to take all the stuff that's coming at me, because I'm calm, and I can meditate, and I can just be self-aware and all this stuff. But what I noticed was, after a couple months, I just started sinking. I was exhausted, and I was doing everything else right. I was eating well, I was exercising, and and I noticed that I just didn't feel good. And I think it was because I wasn't speaking up for myself. I was not taking care of myself and saying what I needed to say. And this happened to me the last couple months, where I was really challenged with something very, very difficult. And I took weeks and weeks, and really worked on something that I needed to face up to in my life. And then I talked about it to the person I needed to talk about. And I'm telling you, it was pure freedom. It was pure freedom, because I don't like to challenge people. I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable. And I think we think when we speak our voice that we're going to hurt people if there's not hearing what they want to hear, but we need to say what we want to say. And so for me, again, alignment is honoring everything that you need to say in your life that you're not saying. We really need to do that, because if we just keep pushing it down and repressing, and it takes work to figure out, like, it takes work to know, like, well, what is it that I do want to say? Because we've been so reactionary or repressive that we have to get into that messiness and face up to stuff,
Yeah.
really, because it's hard. And then we have to do the work to maybe, the work to, eat better or whatever, or to speak up for ourselves. That's scary. It's hard. I mean, I had to do tapping. I had to, EFT. I mean, it was a lot of work, but I'm telling you, the feeling afterwards was pure alignment. I was just like, okay, this what it this is what it feels like to honor myself with
Yeah.
my words and with what I believe and what I know to be true. And so I think alignment can mean many different things, but I think it really is honoring yourself, knowing yourself, um, knowing what your values are so that you can live within those values, for the most part. And I think that's another thing. We don't always get clear on what our values are, because there's a million opinions and judgments and ways to do things, and I have felt that before, where I was just like, I don't know, like, some, our indecision and our lack of clarity on things is because I don't think we want to do the work to say, this is important to me. This is how I want to operate in my life right now. And it takes work, and it takes messiness, and it takes being in the friggin' bottom of the pit and climbing yourself back out, right?
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
doesn't sound like fun, which is why I know a lot of people don't want to do that work, but that's where the freedom is. And I think, to me, my words these last couple of years have been like, freedom, just like not feeling confined to, what I've thought in the past because that's what was expected of me, or to be um worried about what other people think because I'm not living up to their expectations, or, definitions of what, life is about, or what life needs to
Yeah.
be.
I think for me, the way I think about alignment as a vibrational energy
Mm,
and crystal healer is I think about it as an incoherence in my system. There's some sort of chaos happening. Something wants to rearrange itself, or something that wasn't in arrangement to begin with is coming up to the surface for me to deal with. So the first thing I try to do, and I advocate my clients to do, is to bring a little bit more coherence to my system. Like you're saying, you drink the juice, you take the supplements, you do the tapping, or you take the crystal healing, whatever it is you need to do to bring some more coherence to your system, because coherence, or some sort of order in the way that you breathe and the way that you stand, is in turn going to bring you in alignment with the vibrations that you want to be experiencing in your reality. Which
yeah.
then brings me to you made some beautiful points about, I feel like as healers and wellnesspreneurs, we're like on a mission. There is so much inner work that happens behind the scenes, that people don't even realize. Like for someone to be able to say, okay, I'm going to be there for someone else, as I'm going to hold their hands, or I'm going to guide them, means like you have to show the same honesty and courtesy to yourself. And most of the time we do that like 1,000-fold for ourselves. Like we're much harder on ourselves to be able to be there for the people who rely on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, which also I feel like what you're doing with the women's wellness exchange is um, beautiful, in the sense that like I see you championing other women. I see you doing shout outs. I see you also evolving and changing and saying, okay, what are the things that our members, the wellnesspreneurs, needs? Like, do they need some more information about their websites? Let's do a webinar about that. Do they need this? Let's do that. Let's highlight that. So I see this constant evolving support that you provide to your members. And I'm a member as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? I think as women, and I'll just, again, I'm not a man, so I'm not going to speak for men, but I think as women that we can be very contractive. We can very be like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want to risk putting some, like for me, it's all about trying to be expansive. Like we're all in this together. We're all figuring it out. We're all trying to put ourselves out there. We don't need to compete. If someone's coming to, if there's a client that is, or a woman going to some type of healer or a health coach. I mean, I went to a health coach and then I went to 10 other healers. So we're all trying to help people feel more empowered, and people are going to need different things at different times and different ways in their life. So I just think it's really important that this, I believe that in 60 or 70 years from now, the history books are going to say it was women who redefined what self-care is. Who redefined even, and I say self-care, we're part of healthcare, right? But that we're the ones that kind of shifted, and started healing people, and helping people heal themselves in a different way. And you can look at that by numbers. I mean, you can look at all the wellness trends and all the women getting into this, and so it's really important. Like what we're doing right now is we are changing the paradigm. And when we're just sitting in our office doing our work or meeting with a client, we don't think about that. So together, we are really a movement. And I want women to know that. I want them to value that, so that they realize when they're having a tough day or their business is struggling, that it's not just them, that they are part of this bigger movement. And in a way, we're so connected because we have social media, but we're not we're not realizing that we are harnessing this as women. We are lifting this up. We are shifting this, and it's 1 inch at a time. But man, is it shifting? And I after 15 years being in this, where 15 years ago, when I said I was going gluten free or I was eating kale, people just thought I had 3 heads. And look where we are now. I mean, you can buy kale chips in the store and everything's gluten free, and you've got yoga studios on every corner, and so we are shifting this, and I want women to know that and feel like they're part of something bigger, because when we feel isolated, we contract, right? So anyway, I just truly believe that in my heart, and I want us, I love to think of this as community supported marketing, because social media is great. We can reach a lot of people, but it's not the only answer. And I think a lot of women get their soul sucked out of them in social media, because they don't, it's just not who they are. That's just not how they want to do it. But we can be our own referral system. Through this resource, women can find what they're looking for. And the more we promote this resource, the more we make self-care support more accessible to everyone. So for me, it's also like another option. I don't even compare ourselves to, Instagram or social media, but we are a place where people can go and sort from themselves, curate their own self-care, versus, seeing all these messages, which can be overwhelming to someone. I think there's probably overwhelm can sometimes cause people to just not do anything because they don't know what they need, and they're like, oh, I should do this. I do this myself. It's like, oh, I should do this. No, I should do this.
yeah.
There's a million programs, and even just, emails that we get. So
Yeah, so I
it can be
see you doing
overwhelming.
two things there, which is you are providing sort of a one-stop place where someone who is on a journey of their own healing can go and try a variety of healers or modalities or what have you. And then I also see you providing a container and a support system for the wellnesspreneurs or the healers that are in there. Which brings me to, what do you think are the wellnesspreneurs or healers struggling with the most?
So what they are struggling with the most is, I would say, sometimes it's just overwhelmed, because as a wellnesspreneur, you kind of get in thinking, oh, I'm just going to do my craft, my service, right? And then you realize, okay, there's the marketing, there's the bookkeeping, there's the writing content, there's creating programs, there's evolving and growing. So I think and that's something that I'm working on right now, is kind of like a wellnesspreneur kind of kit that's like, okay, well, here's all the parts, and like this month I'm just going to work on this, and instead of that where we shut down because again from that overwhelm we don't know where to start, so we don't start. So I think there's the whole imposter syndrome. Who am I to put myself out there? Who am I to think, I can, create this business and that people are going to value what I do. I think that a lot of women also just struggle with having a plan for their business and really getting clear on what it is they want to do and how they're going to do it. We just kind of jump in and think, oh, and believe me, I did this at the start. I was like, I'll just throw things out there and see what sticks, and that's okay, but at the same time, you need to get clear about, and I think this is probably the hardest thing that they find is someone said the other day in a meeting, how do I ask people to, she used the word ask to, how do I do the ask, right? To like come work with me. And my feeling was it's not the ask, it's how can I serve you? How can I help you help yourself transform? And I think we put all the ownership on us that we're going to help people and that we need to have all the answers, when really what we're doing, as you said, creating a container to help people transform. So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I think that's the control freak in women. It's just like, oh, I've got to fix this and I got to take care of everyone. And no, we're providing that space that people need. And so, but trying to hone in on communicating that it takes a lot of work, writing and rewriting and scripting and listening. And I think a lot of women don't spend the time to really hone in on that. So they just keep, someone said the other day too in a meeting that they said fuzzy is safe. Fuzziness is safe. So I'm not really putting myself 100% out there. I'm just kind of keeping it like this. I'm kind of keeping it fuzzy. So in case, it doesn't work, then, I can say, well, I'll just try something else. So I think again, for us, it's also coming and confronting our fears and our truth about who we are, what we value, and how we want to put that out into the world. And then the last thing is really just any kind of marketing. I think, again, just women are intimidated by social media, they're intimidated by technology. And a lot of business coaches say, hire out, have someone else do it. Well, that would be great, but not everyone, when they're starting out, can afford to do that. I mean, that's been a luxury for me, several times to have a team to do that. But, we kind of have to be a little bit of the jack of all trades until we maybe get our business going. And I think women, instead of, they just have this, I can't do this technology part, because especially older women like me, because we didn't grow up with this. If you're in your 20s, it's like, you can do it easy peasy. But so anyway, so those are just some of the struggles. And again, which is why I think it's important that we support each other and share, yeah, this is hard. I'm doing the same thing. I also heard radio silence the last time I put out my, promotion, because it's just the reality. We can't take it personally. We just need to get better at communicating who we are and what we do. And I like to think of, being a wellnesspreneur is you have to have a certain mindset and you have to have a certain skill set. And you need to work on both of those. It really is a process. And those are some of the things that we're doing over the year with women. And I just, if nothing else, well, hopefully lots else, but I want to help people see these things. Like, you're not alone. These are common things. We're going to work through these. And if you don't face these, insecurities or fears, then they will just keep a hold on you and your business isn't going to grow. So just like with our self-care, we have to continually see ourselves, to know ourselves, to, kind of evolve and grow.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you on all of those. I think for me, like creating the healing journey that I have been on has led to acquiring all these skills, as you say, and then making sense of them for me, and then which led to the creation of my healing business now. But in all of those, there have been moments of like extreme resistance, which I had to overcome. And then there would come the next thing and then overcome that and so on. But by overcome, I mean like make space in me. Like I would get into the chaos mode. I would have to reorganize myself. Like when I first put out my very first online course, I physically got sick. Like it was such a huge undertaking. And it was
Yeah.
also such a big way of putting myself out there that I was sick for 2 weeks. I had like a both throat and an ear infection. Talk about like the third chakra coming up to wake me up. But I worked through it, and I think now more than anything, one of my priorities is to say, okay, like I can see and feel the physical load of this. Like right now, I'm working on another new creative project. I'm moving my online systems to a new platform, which is a huge undertaking. And then I have to be like, okay, like today I'm going to take this hour for tapping, for I'm going to just do a bath. And for me, it was also like allowing myself to do those things and to recharge so that I can do a bigger output and still continue being creative. But I want to say, I don't think people realize how much work is going on, like behind that pretty website you see, like behind that one healing offering you see. There's so much. Yes, you work to get educated, you get the skill, but also you need to be moving through all these resistances and all the trauma that you've had about putting yourself out there so that you can first of all put yourself out there and then like stay firm and grounded in you to be able to hold the hand off and guide someone else. So
And
it's
aren't when you look back, Dom, aren't you so proud of yourself for doing that?
I
You
am,
know,
and
and
I
it's
I'm
hard that you got
constantly,
sick.
yeah, I think that's the one thing I would add to your list is like I don't stop and see, like I always see what's left to do
Yes.
versus saying, oh my God, like I have this beautiful website, I've helped so many clients, and I have overcome and continue to evolve in so many ways in myself and in my business, to be able to say like today in this moment, this is enough,
Yes.
is not something that we get to do or we give ourselves time to do. So that's definitely something I'm working on.
Well, and I would say that's been my journey too, is giving myself credit, giving myself self-love. I know you had a podcast on that earlier. I think as women we're so freaking hard on ourselves. But yes, celebrating our successes at the end of the week. That's something I'd love to do with the other members. And also just really, yeah, giving yourself credit, being proud of yourself. I think sometimes we're always looking for someone else to validate us when we can do a really great job of validating ourselves. I mean, yes, it's nice to do that. And I can't tell you how many times people, and because I've worked on my own for really 15 years, um, albeit one year I went to a nonprofit, but and people would always say, "Oh, that little business of yours." And I'm like, "Hey, that little business, I'm working my little tail off. Like I work every day. I wake up and like I'm showing up for myself every day. And I can look back and say I showed up for myself. And it's not hard, and sometimes I don't have the success that I want, but I showed up for myself. And I think that kind of comes back to alignment for me as well. Like when I look back, I won't have regrets because I did show up for myself. Not all the time, lots of self-sabotage, all those things, but um, and I think, Christine Kane, who has been my business coach over this last year, said that, being an entrepreneur is an opportunity for your soul's expansion. You know, Putting yourself out there is the hardest work you'll ever do. And I'm not saying that people don't work hard and corporate jobs, but when you can just like do your job and not have anyone, you have to put yourself out there and just like check the boxes and so forth. It's hard work, but to put yourself out there in a way that feels exposed and that feels where you feel vulnerable really helps you grow a lot, and it really helps you start believing more in yourself. And just like believing, yeah, believing in yourself, which is really, really important to me. At 58, if I could look back, it's just like believe in yourself would be the one thing I would tell everyone. Just believe. Stop looking outside for the validation. Stop looking outside for people to tell you you're doing it right, and just knowing that this is what you want. And that comes back to kind of knowing your values, knowing what's important to you, and really sticking with that.
Yes, yes. I also think in a corporate job, it's easier to um, have some sort of a separation versus
Yes,
if you're a
yeah.
healer, like that's my name. That's, everything is the container that I've created. So there's a lot of emotional investment in a
Yes.
business that you run by yourself.
Especially if you're hopefully wanting to get paid for it. There's no guarantee of a paycheck, and to be an entrepreneur is to take a leap of faith that people are going to come, people are going to pay, and that you can pay your rent that month. Whereas when you're in a corporate job, it's really nice to have that consistent paycheck no matter how you show up. I mean, you could drag through the day and sit in front of your computer, and there's nothing wrong with that, but yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. It's been the biggest challenge of my life, but I also think it's been the biggest fulfillment of my life as well.
Yes. Yeah. I want to come back to the part about women supporting women and women lifting each other up, because I feel like um, that's something I've been consciously incorporating more and more into my work, and that I've been seeing a lot of return on, emotional return and otherwise, because there's something magical in saying like I see the magic in you and I support that. And to me, that's sort of become a precursor of seeing the magic in myself.
Yes, yes.
So elevating each other up, and you do such a beautiful job of it in this community, and being a part of a community of healers or wellnesspreneurs who are going through similar stuff or having the same pain, struggles, and same rewards is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, I do that. And I sometimes have looked at myself like, why am I doing this? And I'm like, I just believe in these women because I want to believe in myself too. Like, this is important to me. And I want women to know, like, even though it's hard, we got to keep doing this, that we are changing the world one person at a time, and that it does help us grow and evolve. And I just, honestly, I just truly believe in these women. And because I've been there, I know what it's like. I know that it can feel, like you're up against the world sometimes, but it's so worth it. And, I guess I'm not preaching to the women. I am this, I am my target audience. So everything that I do is because I'm going through it as well. This is not like a preachy, like, ladies, do this formula and you'll make $10 million in a year. It's like, hey, no, hey, let's come together and talk about these things. Let's get some experts in here. Let's share stories. This is very much a peer-to-peer exchange. This is not you know us just giving a big 10 tips every month. It's like, okay, this is the reality of it. This is what I'm going through, and that's what I feel that women are really wanting. We had a call the other day, a Zoom call, and people were just so happy to connect, and we were able to support some women who were having some challenges and putting some stuff out there and having a hard time getting clients. And we were all able to say, hey, we've been there. You'll get through this. You got to believe in yourself and have patience and things like that. So
Yeah. What inspires you these days, Tracey?
what inspires me these days? I think really just this whole thing of finally, after 58 years, getting clear and clear and clear about what alignment means to me. I wish it didn't take me this long, but it's a beautiful thing, and I do feel a lot of freedom in it. And I'm just really trying to be truthful about my life, really looking at everything for what it is, not putting up the facade, not being afraid of what people are going to think about me. And um, that's what's inspiring me these days, and hopefully that's just something that comes with age and wisdom. But I just feel a lot of freedom with it, and I'm really hunkering down deep and doing this. My husband and I are writing letters. I said we need to just really lay everything out there. Let's be truthful about how we feel. let's look at our lives right now and not just walk through them in a trance. Let's really look at this. Is this all working? What's working? What's not? Why am I doing this? I just think it's so important. I heard something this morning too from Kyle Weiss. He was saying that, we are so much looking outside of ourselves for the answer, right? So many times that we can be so, and I never thought about it, we can be so easily manipulated when we are doing that, because then we are at the mercy of our fears and our reactions and things like that. And to me, I just want to get to that point where I can just sit and say, I have the answer. I know the answer. I don't need to talk to 20 people. I don't need anyone's confirmation. I don't need another coach. I don't need another, I have the answer within myself. And that's kind of what I'm working on. It's a
Yeah.
work in progress for
Unless you
sure.
do decide that you need which you can change your mind, right? You have that option.
Well, yeah, well, I think, and believe me, I've already identified. I'm like this morning. I'm like I'm scheduling an appointment with someone who I know, one of our members, because I'm like, okay, I need this. This is what I need, and so I am. I always will ask. I think that is the other thing for when it's just to, I say ask for help, not to get another prescription, but ask for help to help you help yourself. And I think that's another thing as women, we just are afraid to be vulnerable, that we've got to kind of pretend we've got it all figured out. And, this control freak in us is just like, oh gosh, I can't go there. You know what's something that's so interesting? I did a women's self-care journal, and I love your journal. Oh my God, I've got it right here. If you could see this, Damla, like look at all the writing in here. I'm like the doodle queen. I've got notes all over the place, and I love your inquiry that you do. But I found that many women are afraid to write down their feelings. I have so many women that have my book and say, "Oh, but it's so pretty, and I don't want to mess it up with my feelings." Or what if somebody sees it? What if someone sees what I wrote down? And it's like women are so afraid to express their feelings and to even write it down to themselves. I mean, gosh, that is a sign right there. So for me, I just think we got to face up to it. We've got to like face our fears. And if not, then we are at the mercy of our fears. And I remember when right at the beginning of COVID, I was just feeling a lot of fear. That's when I was at the nonprofit, and I got laid off because of COVID. And I was just like, I'm just going to meditate and, like eliminate all the fear in my life. I did. I went through this thing. And I look back, I'm like, oh my God. First of all, fear is a message, right? So what am I thinking? It's a natural human instinct to have fear. And I'm thinking I'm just going to eliminate all fear in my life by meditating it away. And I look back at that, and now I realize, like, okay, well, fear is my friend. Fear is like, okay, let's something's showing up for you. You gonna look at it, or you gonna ignore it? And so anyway,
I love
but it's
that. I love
important.
that because for me, what you're saying is it just shows in the way that I think about it is we're either feeling nourished, and I'm not just talking about food, or we're not feeling nourished, or we're somewhere in between. And for me, the fear comes and hits me when I'm like malnourished. If I'm somewhere in between where I'm like half nourished, I can pick it up and I can give myself what I need, whether it's help and support from someone else or from me, using the tools I have, yada yada yada. But if I already let myself to the malnourishment level where my nervous system is like operating here, versus like I don't have to be at like ground zero all the time, like grounded and super chill all the time. But if I can get myself to like even a little bit higher than the complete malnourishment, then I can pick up the slack when I need to. And because the fear is going to hit, the resistance is going to hit. That's what I've learned, and I'm learning again and again, is to be there for myself when it does hit and to
Oh,
pick
I
up the
love
slack.
that. To be there for yourself. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
Not go to the self-sabotage, to not go to the I don't have time for you, to not go to the oh,
Or
not right now,
I'm
it's not
stupid,
convenient.
weak, I'm not enough,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
this website isn't perfect,
yeah, yeah.
all the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's showing up for yourself,
Yeah.
because we don't realize, if you just think about how many times we doubt ourselves or beat ourselves up during the day, that's what I've started to become more conscious of over the years. Like, not today, sorry. You can say that now, but it does, like we're moving on from that thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Energetic nourishment, which I believe is a daily job, like what you're doing with the gratitude journal, just filling that well, that nourishment well every single day. And is it enough? It's never enough, but we get to do it still. That's what life is.
Yeah, yeah, and getting to the point where, even though it's not perfect, it's enough for today. It's enough for right now, and there is no perfection. There is no arriving there. There is no, you know, I don't know. I just think we just have to be present, and as you said, just show up for ourselves. It's so important, and whatever that means, we need to answer that question of how we show up for ourselves.
Yes. I love this whole conversation.
I know I could talk for
So,
hours.
Tracy, tell us, I know you so generously offered a free membership month at the Women's Wellness Exchange, and I'll include information about how to do that. But can you tell us how to find you, or where can people get more information about the Women's Wellness Exchange, which supports wellnesspreneurs?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, would love to give a free month and for someone to try us out. And you can find us at Women's Wellness Exchange. So no E with that, Women's Wellness Exchange.com. And my email is Tracey, Tracey, at Women's Wellness Exchange, no E. And really, the monthly membership will give someone the opportunity to try out our community for a month, and with that comes the opportunity to fill out a profile, which is on our website. Which again, they like to think of us as a virtual wellness center. People can come in and find all different kinds of modalities of healing and support from our wellnesspreneurs. We have a monthly workshop. We have a women's networking circle, and I'm really excited. And this will be the first announcement. Actually, I know this is coming out in January. We're launching a community wellness fund. So for all the yoga instructors and health coaches and all the healers who've had to like work for free at schools and community centers, they can actually apply for a grant to do something for free in a school, because I think we should get paid. I think what we do is valuable, especially now more than ever. What kids need, what families need, what everyone needs is to be able to manage their stress, anxiety, eat well, all those things. So I want to support the women that are in our community, and we're launching several other initiatives, this new business toolkit as well, and on January 1st. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so excited to kind of evolve and grow and continue to offer what we can, and then to have women come forward and support other women as well.
Yeah. And I love that. And we do get to be recognized for what we do as wellnesspreneurs, and money is a way of doing that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's an exchange of energy, really.
Yes, thank you so much, Tracy. This has been amazing. I feel it's been such a resource for healers and wellnesspreneurs, and I'm so looking forward to sharing this. Thank
Well,
you.
this is wonderful, and this is like really talk about alignment. I got to speak my truth today. This is a great 58th birthday present. I feel so great. I think women have to have more raw and real conversations. And Damla, thank you so much for doing this. I've always wanted to do a podcast. It's on my list, but I still haven't reached that hurdle. So congratulations, and thanks so much for doing all that you do, and for being a part of our community.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Conversations with Healers. If this episode spoke to you in any way, please leave a review or comment, like or love it, and share it with others in your life. This is a true soul love project from my heart to yours. I really appreciate your help in spreading the word. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and check out other episodes to listen to some extraordinary healing stories and advice. Have a beautiful and wonderful day.